Good evening, my lovely Cancerians, and happy birthday. It's your birthday month. So let's see what the month has in store for you. Okay, now let's just clear the energy. Angel Spirits Guides, please come forward and support me in drawing the correct cards for Cancer. What do Cancer need to know for their birthday month? What will stand Cancer in good stead? What do they need to learn? So cards for Cancer, please. And in particular, I want to give a shout out to my beautiful niece, Melissa Ann. I won't embarrass her by putting her surname, but she knows who she is. Happy birthday, Mel. I hope you have a super, super, super duper month. And loved your new bag. And let's get on with it. Okay, so 3 energy cards, please, for Cancer. We have the Healer of the Ages. 4th chakra. Okay, so your 4th chakra is your heart chakra. So if it's coming out with healing, then somebody has to heal. Somebody has to heal. Somebody has to get over, recover. Oh my God, I don't believe this. And the 5th chakra. You don't know how unusual it is to get 2 chakra cards from all of these. And then I've got the owl thing is a little bit holy because he sort of looks a bit like Jesus. But he does represent Jesus because Jesus was, who did walk the earth, he did exist, is the outstanding healer of all times. Now let me just get some light on the subject here. So you've got 4th chakra, which is the heart, 5th chakra, which is the throat. Now 5th chakra can often represent having to speak your truth, having to stand up for yourself, having to speak honestly and communicate. I need to see if it's going. Sorry, I was just checking that timer. I didn't think it was actually on. So 4th chakra is your heart, and the 5th chakra is your throat. So you may need to heal, but you also have to. You may have to discuss, you may have to communicate something about your heart, something that may be hurting you, something that you need to let go, something you need to make peace with, something that is maybe bothering you, and you need to talk it through with someone. This is a card of communication. On a physical level, it can be issues to do with the throat or the thyroid, so someone amongst you may need a checkup. But this feels very much really that somebody has to speak up. They have to really talk something through. So let's see what the tarot have to say about it. So Angel Spirits, guys, let's have some clarifiers, please, for Healer of the Ages, 4th chakra, and which is Archangel Raphael, by the way, and 5th chakra, which is Archangel Gabriel. Okay, so Healer of the Ages, we have the 6 of Cups. We have the 3 of Wands. And we have the 4 of Cups. So 4th chakra, we have the Hierophant, the Page of Pentacles, and the Knight of Swords. And 5th chakra, we have Judgment, Queen of Wands, and the King of Swords. Right, quite interesting cards actually. So as usual, I'll start with the first one, move to the center, tell you the 9th, and then I'm going to go back over each of them individually and tell you how they come together and they relate to each other. I do this because these 3 here hold more important positions, so therefore they have a little bit more influence over the other cards. So I'm going to start with the 6 of Cups. The 6 of Cups can be nostalgia. And it can be looking back, it can be remembering, especially if it's family. very much a family card, and maybe making peace with family issues and coming to terms with something to do with the past. Okay. It can also mean that you may have some news of someone from your past. So for some of you, it can be an ex, which is maybe why you're needing to get over something. An ex is popping up. You may hear the name, you may hear news, and it's about letting go, making peace, healing with something, but it's all tied in with the past. Okay. In the center here, we have the Page of Pentacles. Page of Pentacles is a super card, super card. As it's coming under the fourth chakra, it can be about learning what fulfills you. Okay, it is a card of learning. It's a card of having an opportunity. He's always about good news, but it's about solid news of something material, which is just going to enhance your life. He can often represent learning, doing a course, doing that tick box exercise, which will then consolidate your career. It is very much about your career here. And it's saying, what can you do to aid that career? So any opportunities that come your way, grab them, especially if someone else is funding a course or an add-on. This is all about ticking the boxes, as I said, but it's going to make your CV stand out. It's going to pop out from above the others. So this is very much about consolidating your career, as I said. King of Swords is about taking action. Now you may have to discuss how you're feeling with someone, and this card is about speaking your truth. Now the King of Swords is very direct. He's very fair, he's very ethical, he's very moral. He doesn't like anything unkind or unfair, or he's just such an honourable card. So he's asking you to take action and speak your truth, but do it in a decent, kind, considerate way. You're still giving your truth, but you can do it in kindness. Okay, now we're going to come back here. So we have the Three of Wands. The Two of Wands is the interesting one as well, because in the two you can see very clearly he's holding a globe in his hand and he's looking at where next. So the two is actually taking a decision. The three, we are starting to make things happen. So you're beginning to make things happen in regards to, number one, making some peace with something in the past, letting something go. But this is also a card of collaboration. So it can be when you're discussing and making plans, moving on. But it's not just about moving on and healing and moving on from something in the past or something in your younger years. This is also a card of taking professional advice. So you may find yourself either speaking with a recruiter or a travel agent, because it's also a card of travel. So when I say to you about the two holding the globe, where next? The three is very much about, okay, I've taken the decision that I'm willing to go further afield for my career, for my job, to consolidate my career. Now I'm going to make it happen. And this is all about taking advice and really bringing all the different threads in to bring that plan together. Now we have the Four of Cups here. And he really is a stubborn sod, because this is where someone can be stuck in the past. And as I say, there's something here in the past that has to be healed. So somebody has to let something go. So Spirit would be saying to you, lift your head. Lift your head up. Don't stay stuck in this negative energy, because, look, there is this hand coming from the divine, offering him the cup, but he's so focused on those three cups there in the front, which is the past, he's not even looking, so he's going to miss an opportunity. That's madness. So, and it's not helping. It's not in your best interest. It's not serving you well. So you have to make peace with something and let something go. It's connected to the past. Okay. Now, again, Back to the Page of Pentacles here, about under the fourth chakra, it's about fulfillment. How can I fulfill me? It's about finding not just your path, it's not finding your job, it's finding what really excites you, what motivates you going to work in the morning. Because the majority of people are so stuck in a rut. They are going to work to earn the money and pay the bills. This is actually about finding your heart's desire, what makes you tick, and marrying it into your career. The Hierophant here can indicate, now he's an opportunity for learning. He can often be the teacher, but it can actually be when someone is going to experience role reversal, when they may have to become a student again. They have to go back to maybe some form of learning. But again, you have to remember, this is about career consolidation. So anything that, even if it's only a first aid course, even if it's about listening skills within team, how to get the best out of people, whatever pastoral courses or anything, it doesn't have to be academic or educational, it can be pastoral, it can be about working with people. Grab them, because this is what it's all about for you. And some of you will find your niche in learning. Now, so therefore, for some of you, it may be about actually deciding, I'm going to put down whatever it is I'm currently doing, because I want to embrace something completely different. And the something completely different will involve learning. So it's maybe back to being a student and maybe a little bit of a drop in income, but that's not the issue here. The issue is about finding that something, that job, that role that really, really does excite you and float you about. Now we have the Knight of Swords here. So that's so this is about doing things properly, because the King of Swords is really ethical. Their family is ethical, you know, really air sign, very very caring about ethics and humanity and communications and making and improving lives. But where the king is that little bit more mature and he knows not to go rushing in with these ideas, the knight will be saying, right, pack your job in now. What's stopping you? Now you know what it is you want to do. You need to get cracking. And he would be saying, yes, now you've discovered it. Now you're actually beginning to communicate with people. It may come as a shock to some people that you're going to, and it really does feel like a switch in career for some of you. So it feels like a big step. So it's about doing it properly. And because some of you are going to be tied in with existing roles. Some of you may be tied into family businesses. Some of you may be tied in to a job where they have supported you, they've cared for you, they've maybe encouraged you in your learning, they've maybe been very good, and you're loath to actually break the news to them, I don't want to do this anymore. But it has to be done. But instead of doing it, they don't do emotions, these cards, but he is impetuous. So this is when it just can get the better of you, and it's about blurting it out and it's coming out all wrongly. So just be aware that you can communicate this news, this decision, to whoever needs to hear it, but do it ethically. Now, judgment. Really, I love judgment. It's about assessment. So some of you may have to actually you may have to go through a panel, you may have to go through a procedure of elimination, first round, second round, and that might not sit well with some of you, because you may already have a real body of knowledge and a body of learning and a body of experience, but you're still going to have to be assessed. And judgment can also refer to you taking that personal decision, which is in the cards for some of you, about this next big step. If you have any legal concerns or business issues or official issues, this bodes well as a standalone card. But tying this card in with taking the decision to speak your truth is really, really important. So, and it just flashed up, so it will be referenced for someone, but not all of you. Someone is going to be asked to either be a witness or to give evidence in something. Somebody may have to go to court, and actually, it doesn't have to be the crime case of the century. It could be, he said, she said. So don't panic. But it just flashed up, so it's relevant for someone. Now, so judgment is taking that decision, speaking your truth, communication. So again, if you get any opportunity to further your knowledge base in any courses about active listening, mirroring, how to communicate well with people, grab it. It's going to stand you in good stead. Some of you may be considering a switch to counselling. I've just been shown counselling. Yeah, it's counselling. It feels like somebody's going to switch from something quite, and there may be a switch from some of you from the legal to doing something, to working in a sort of more pastoral way. So some of you may work already as solicitors, or maybe even a lawyer, or maybe working that, or a legal assistant. Somebody may be working in the field of legal, and they may want then switch to something totally different, and it feels like counselling. It feels like talking therapy, that type of thing. Okay, Queen of Wands. This is about finding your mojo, finding your career, finding what is right for you, and doing it with passion, doing it with gusto. So it feels like a bit of a convoluted process, and there may be the childhood thing as well can be tied in with again those family ties, especially to business. But I can actually see the steady progress of feeling a bit stuck energetically, possibly feeling a bit sad, wanting to branch out, taking a decision, beginning to take advice on making something happen, but being a little bit stuck energetically. But it's going to move from accepting to putting it into practice, communication, and then you've got the Queen of Wands energy. Now the Queen of Wands is a high flyer, so she is determined. This woman, she's not a woman, by the way. She can be male or female, because court cards are not gender specific. So, but it's about her determination, her vitality, her will to succeed. As I say, she doesn't take prisoners. She is so determined. She knows what she wants, and God, does she go for it. But it's really having that, once you've made the decision, and it's been a long time coming, and then when it's made, and then it's all about learning, studying, becoming knowledgeable, and then moving on. But it's all about your truth. So it may sound a little bit convoluted, but I can actually see the progress from maybe not being unhappy, or being not fulfilled. Let's say unfulfilled in a current role, but feeling tied into it for whatever reasons. It may be family, it may be because of other obligations, or being treated very fairly and very kindly and very supportively by an existing company, and then not wishing to say, oh, by the way, I want to leave because I want to go and do something completely different. So I'll leave that with you, and let's just have, coming over here, I've got a little bit more space. We're going to have 3 oracle cards. So we've got Moonlight. Moonlight's about facing, sorry, I don't think you can see that. So Moonlight is about facing the shadow side of yourself, okay? And it can also be that fear, that anxiety, the doubts. Oh my God, am I up to it? Can I do this? Should I? very personal doubts, but bringing the doubts, looking at them, bringing them out into the light and allowing them to go. So it can be the shadow side of life and the shadow side of self. But it's about moving from not knowing to knowing. You're bringing something out into the open, and that's going to make a hell of a difference. It's about facing your truth. Your card is riddled here with it's time to speak your truth. And we've got coming apart. And doesn't that sound like a frightening card, coming apart? But it's not, because actually it's about coming apart to come together. So this can be in a relationship, or it can be just getting to the bottom of your own self. When I feel I'm falling apart, I feel I don't know my own mind, I feel I don't know anything about me, or I don't know. And so this is a really testing time as well for anybody in a relationship. But it's like deconstruction to reconstruct, and then the rebuilding is so solid. So it's actually a really, really strong and powerful positive card. And we've got Ride the Wave. So there's lots of subtle meanings to this card. I like to look at it very much as ride the wave of energetically. Once you've worked all this out, once you've taken the decision, and it's a big decision for some of you, it's about riding that wave of positivity, energetic. It's fabulous. It's also an emotional card, and it's also about understanding what is making you tick, what's driving you, and what's making you maybe despondent sometimes, what's making you go into doubt or fear, and facing that and knowing, ride it out. You don't need to collapse. You're not a failure by feeling something. Your experience, feeling is energy in motion. E for energy, motion. So feeling is energy that's shifting in you. Don't be afraid of it. Ride it out, and you will get to a stronger, more grounded and solid way of feeling. So that more consistent energy, which is a fabulous place to be. So let's have 3 soul cards, and let's see what could be your... So this feels quite like a big month for you guys, Cancer. So let's have 3 soul cards, because this can be what you may have to consider as you're moving on, and it can be either considered in a positive way, or it can be what you have to consider as a potential energy block. So let's take this one, fear. There you go. I realize I am testing my resolve to live in the energy of love, because when we move into fear, love goes out the window. So does self-tolerance, self-kindness. We just become rigid with fear. So there's your big energy block. It's about exposing the fear, even acknowledging it to yourself, and which will then dissipate it by action. And the amazing thing about fear, and I think I always point it out, but it really is true, when we just allow ourselves to be in fear, and those thoughts which are running around our heads like mad things, gaining even more and more momentum, if you were to actually sit down and discuss that with someone you trust, or a counsellor, because counselling's already been mentioned, then you might, and hearing yourself say it to another person, that person might look at you in total amazement and say, what the hell? You're so qualified, you're so fit. And they might look at, and just even looking at someone's face and hearing it in their voice, and you think, oh my God, to think I've believed this all this time, and it's just nonsense. So you need to check to see if this is what you've got to bring it out. You've got to bring out anything that's troubling you, any doubts, any fear. Talk to someone, write it down. And if you write it down, actually you can start to work out, is this realistic what I'm thinking? Is it reasonable? Or is my head running away with me? And honestly, writing it down is quite powerful to see it, because I always say to people, make 3 columns just like this. In the first column, put what the fear is. total fear. In the next column, what is the worst case scenario? Because when you're in fear, you're not looking at the best case scenario. By God, you're looking at the worst case scenario every time. And then in the next column, write down, well, what would I do? How would I cope if that happened? And as soon as you start to actually start thinking that, you're then finding solutions. You've gone into doing as opposed to thinking, ruminating. By the way, great ruminator here. He's a ruminator, so you need to be careful of that energy because it really can hold you back. So do something about your fear. Evidence check it. Speak it through with somebody, write it down, and actually work out on paper yourself how realistic that fear is. It really does work. Next card, we have empathy. I am open to seeing both sides of a situation. So obviously that card speaks for itself. It's about trying to see things from a different point of view. Whatever you're going to be facing this month, they're asking you to do it with empathy. To actually not just do a knee-jerk reaction, not do a Knight of Swords, go challenging in there to have it out with somebody. Actually think it through. Try and take the emotion out of it a little bit, trying to put the rational in, but without acting hastily, and just see it from someone else's point of view. But also, when you're examining your own fears and your own worries, cut yourself a bit of slack. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. You're not a failure because you've gone into fear or doubt or anxiety. You're human. We all do it occasionally. But if you can spot it, then you can get a hold of it, and then you can work it through, and then you can let it go. And let's have one up from up this end. Trust. Now, that's a big issue for a lot of people, especially when people are living in fear. It's very hard to trust. It's very hard to trust the divine. It's very hard to trust angels. It's very hard to trust anyone. So, but you've got to start here with trusting yourself. I accept that my inner voice will always guide me correctly. So when you're working this issue of, it really does feel like a big career change. It feels like maybe even people may be moving away from where they were brought up, or where they grew up. They may feel they have to leave their family behind. They may be leaving their loved one behind, and that can put them into fear. So therefore it's about getting onto paper, bringing your fear out into light, looking at it, examining it, and say, well, what is making me desire to leave, go away, travel, change my job, and really get to the bottom of it. And then when it's just that I am so miserable doing this same thing day in, day out, well, if someone else were to say that to you, what would you say to them? Wouldn't you say, well, find something that excites you. Find another job. Try something different. I know I would say that to my friends. But what you're saying to yourself, no, you can't. Why? So think about it and cut yourself a bit of slack. So that's all for you guys, Cancer. I hope that made some sense to you. And just please, just be careful of the energy from the exes and the blasts from the past. They have no power over you unless you allow that. Don't give them that power. Okay? Bye for now.